When you start writing a book, you intend to finish it. There's an initial wave of excitement. This book is going to be great. But then somewhere along the way, something changes. The story gets more difficult. Suddenly you're in the middle of the book and you're stuck. Before you know it, it's been days, weeks, or even months since you've written a word. Your project dangles dangerously on the edge of the precipice to the great wasteland that we call unfinished manuscripts. You must not allow this to happen. If you do, you'll become one of those writers who doesn't finish their stories. We never hear about them. You want to be a writer who finishes. To do that, you have to avoid these 5 mistakes. There's a thing they call shiny object syndrome. This can attack anytime you find yourself struggling with your story. New ideas pop into your head and they seem much better than the one you're currently working on. If you're not careful, the shiny object syndrome will convince you to abandon the current story and start over on a new one. Don't fall for it. Write the other ideas down if you like, store them somewhere safe, and continue to work through the story you're on. It's always easier to start a story and to feel all the momentum and the excitement in what that story could be than it is to finish a story that you're already working on. So keep in mind that when you're struggling with a story, if you get a bunch of new ideas at that point, that's shiny object syndrome. When you first start writing a book, your excitement carries you forward. You feel motivated to work on it, so it's easy for you to find a few minutes here and there when you can do that. As the story starts to get hard, though, which most stories do, you may find that you're avoiding it more often, or that you're not finding time to do it. This is why you have to schedule your writing time on your calendar. That's the only way that you can say, okay, if I'm not writing during that time, I'm actually avoiding it. This helps you to face the fact that you may be avoiding your story. Whenever you're investing considerable time into a project, you can expect that life is going to get in the way. Something will go wrong at the job, or somebody in the family will have a difficulty, or something in your life will break and need repair. Whatever happens, it tends to pull you away from your project, which in this case is your book. You can go for weeks or even months without working on it. Then when things calm down again, you think about returning, but you've forgotten where you were, and it can take a lot more momentum and motivation at that point to try to get back into this story that you haven't visited for a really long time. This is where your scheduled time to write can come in really handy. Maybe your regular time is no longer working because of whatever's going on. So shorten it or reschedule it to some other time, but make sure that you continue to revisit this story, even if all you do is sit for 15 minutes and reread what you already wrote. At least that way you'll keep it in your mind where your creative brain can continue to work on it. When you start to struggle on a story, it's easy to feel discouraged. This is when that nasty self-doubt tends to appear, and it will try to encourage you to give up. Or it will tell you that this story idea isn't very good anyway, and you should try a different one, encouraging you to start over on something else, only to end up stuck once again. This is where tracking your progress can help. How far have you come? Writers who never finish don't know. Successful writers have some sort of system they use, so they can look back and say, hey, I can't quit now. Look at how much progress I've made. Maybe for you, that's a chart that shows how many words you've written at each writing session. Or maybe it's a chart that simply shows how much time you've spent on this story so far. Maybe it's something you post on the refrigerator where you have an X for those days when you actually sat down and worked on your story. Whatever it is, it's wise to have some sort of way to track your progress on this particular book. Then when you get discouraged and feel like giving up, it's going to be even harder to do so because of all the time you've already invested. Even if you think your story is no good, which I don't know of any writer that doesn't think somewhere along the way while they're writing the story that it's probably no good. Even if you think that way, don't give up on this story. Abandoning a project is almost always a mistake. There are some exceptions, but usually it is much better for you to finish it no matter what. Finishing a book gives you the experience of finishing a book. The more books that you write and finish, the better writer you will become. However, if all you're doing is starting books and taking them them for a few chapters or even up to the middle of the story and then abandoning them, that you're not learning what you will if you actually finish each of those books. Much better to leave a completed manuscript in the drawer than a half-completed manuscript. So don't give up on yourself. Get help if you need to. Ask a writing mentor or hire a book doctor. Then no matter what happens, whether you publish the book or not, be proud of yourself. Finishing a book isn't easy. It's why not a lot of people do it. But you will, as long as you don't give up and get the help you need along the way. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe and hit the notifications button so you'll know when I have another video come out. And meanwhile, keep working on that story even if it's gotten a little tough, and go all the way until you write the end.